Please mute your Zoom as usual.
I see you. Oh, come on from there. What are you to eat? Now come on from there. I think here's what you're going to do. You're going to open your bank account every day, 30 days. Report everything. Financial reality is beautiful. You will feel safe. Radical responsibility. You're like, oh my gosh, this is not fair. No, it's not. It's not fair. It's fair. There are two types of people in this world. The ones who believe that life happens to them versus those that think.
All right, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Then drop it down.
Yeah.
I made and made. I hired the guy.
Do not drop your attention. And
right. That we sit down 5 class. What's the name of but you what will I write to you?
so
What
attendance today. Please don't drop attendance. You've come again, oh, you these people. With attendance. Okay, let me navigate to the slide. Sorry, I'm doing some other things there. Sorry. Okay, so good morning, everybody. If you can hear me, if you can hear me, type yes in the chat room. If you can hear me, please say yes. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. People are still dropping attendance. Oh, I'm supposed to punish these people that are dropping attendance for you see CBG. Eh? Today that you come to class, you will not let me rest. Turn off notification, commute. Okay, so yesterday we started a classification and evolution of living things, where we touched different aspects like why organisms are classified, and we look at the history, talking about who started classification. We look at the contribution of Aristotle, of Linus, and Carolus Linus now, and some other scientists that contributed to the field of classification, right? And we we mentioned about the two systems proposed by Aristotle into plants and animals, using for plants using the nature of their stem, into herbs, shrubs, and trees; for animals using their habitat into terrestrial, aquatic, and arboreal. Then we talked about the modern classification proposed by Carolus Linus, who used the five, the seven hierarchical taxa, kingdom down to species. Then we talked about the one proposed by Whitaker, the five kingdom system proposed by Whitaker, involving Monera, Protista, and Plantae. And while we were here specifically, somebody asked the question that domain comes after kingdom here, and we said kingdom is above domain. That we said that domain is above kingdom. That's why we have domain now under the kingdom Monera. So the reason is that the kingdom Monera is no longer recognized, right? The kingdom Monera is no longer recognized, and we now have that kingdom under the three domain that was proposed by Carl Woese. We now have that kingdom divided into Archaebacteria and Eubacteria, right? So I think that is the right answer to that. So we continue up to, I think today we are starting binomial nomenclature. So let's continue with binomial nomenclature. Now, yesterday we said that the field of taxonomy is divided into two: systematics, which has to do with placing organisms into groups, and the nomenclature, which deals with naming organisms, right? So we have dealt with placing animals or organisms into groups, which is systematics. So today we shall continue with binomial nomenclature. We know that nomenclature simply means giving names to organisms. Nomenclature, naming of organisms. So binomial means giving two names. So binomial is giving distinct scientific names to various structures, including living organisms, for their identification. So the word nomenclature means of organisms, naming of organisms, and but the word binomial, it means we are using two names. And we said that names are of two types. We have vernacular, which is common name, and scientific names. So here we're referring to scientific naming of organisms, plants or animals. We also have what we call them in our local diets, referring to as a vernacular, right? So, and the reason why we give specific name to organisms is because what we called in vernacular, organisms can have different names. For instance, what we call rice in Yoruba is different from what we call rice in Igbo, in Hausa, in Ichekiri, Ibibio, Urobo, Isoko, Benin, or what have you. Different parts of the country, like Nigeria, for instance, that is multilingual and multi-ethnic, right? So different ethnic groups have what they call these organisms, whether plants, whether animal. What we call pawpaw, for instance, in Ekiti, is different from might be different from what they call pawpaw in Ondo State or even in Ibadan. Even both of them being in Southwest Yoruba region. So that is why science generally do not use vernacular. And if you now even go outside Nigeria, what we call rice in Argentina is not what they call rice in France. Might not be what they call rice in Italy, for instance, looking at vernacular now, local names. So that is the reason why scientists came up with binomial nomenclature, giving two specific names to all organisms. So if I say Mangifera indica, wherever I come from, wherever I am speaking, everybody knows that I'm referring to a plant known as mango, right? So that is basically the reason behind binomial nomenclature, giving two names to organisms. So we have types of nomenclature. We can have polynomial. According to the system, name of organism consists of many compound words. For instance, we have Caryophyllum, Saxatilis, Foliis, Gramineous, Umbulatus, Corymbia, which means Caryophyllum, growing on rock, having grass-like leaves and umbellate corymb flowers. You can see that is also a name. This name is Latin and is descriptive, right? Caryophyllum, Saxatilis, Foliis, Gramineous, Umbellatus, Corymbia. This is a compound name. This is a polynomial having several words to name a particular plant. This is complex. Nobody will easily remember this. So that is a polynomial. Then we also have trinomial. Trinomial means three names, right? And this was developed by So according to this system, name of any plant or species is composed of three names, right? Subspecific name is added, that is the variety. So we have this Brassica oleracea variety botaris, which is cauliflower. We also have Brassica oleracea variety capitata, which is cabbage. We have Brassica oleracea varieties congelodis, which is kohlrabi. So this is polynomial, right? This is trinomial, three names. That is, we're having varieties. All of these belong to the same species, but there are varieties of them. Cauliflower, cabbage, and kohlrabi are all varieties of Brassica oleracea, right? Then we now have binomial nomenclature, which was developed by Carolus Linnaeus, which is known as father of binomial system, father of modern taxonomy, right? So in this system, each organism has a scientific name consisting of two words in Greek or Latin, right? So the words are Greek or Latin, and they are composed of a generic or the genus and the specific epithet or the species name. The name indicates relationship of a species with other present in the same genus. So we said yesterday that the other day, talking about classification of living things, we said that the Homo means closely related, right? So the genus Homo comprises, for instance, closely related organisms. The genus generally comprises organisms with that are closely related, while the specific name or the species name is unique to all organisms. It was published in 1973. Sorry, 1753 rather. So what is binomial nomenclature? So by using these systems, organisms have the same name in all languages. So like I said earlier, if I say Oryza sativa, if I say Tobrama cacao, all languages know that that is cocoa. So you are now interpreting that to Brahma cacao in your own language, in your own dialect, to the best of your understanding of to Brahma cacao or Mangifera indica. So for instance, if I do a research and I go to present my in a conference anywhere, and I say I use also plants, giving scientific names, I will not be giving dongoyaro if I use dongoyaro plants for my research, right? I will be using the scientific name of those plants or organisms that I use, so that if anybody wants to replicate my research anywhere in the world, they won't be asking or calling me to say, Oga, what is dongoyaro? Because I have used a language that everybody scientifically understands. So that is the beauty of that binomial nomenclature. All organisms have two names that all languages will understand. So this helps to erase the confusion in using different languages, and the organism has the first and the last name, where the last name is written first. So it's like you're having a family name and your own name now. So for instance, in Fakorede family, for instance, I am Taiwo Fakorede. So that name is unique to me. Among my siblings, I don't think there are people that answer the same name, right? Except people that are naming themselves their children Junior, right? Like Otedola Junior, for instance. So in a family, the family name is Fakorede, right? So Taiwo is my name that is unique to me. So that is also the same for all organisms. We said that organisms has the first name and the last name, just as you have your first name and your last name. So let's pick some names here. So there's no, it's only my name I'm using for example. So we have Oluwatimileyin, Oluwabadewa. We have Abdul Khadijat Eniola. We have Oyedeji Abdulatif. We have Abundance More. We have Achaneye Precious Chinaza. So all of this simply means you have your own specific name, but one, not your first name and your middle name now. You have your first name and your last name. And that is how even we advise students to be writing their names. You write your name, your last name last. So we have your surname, which is usually the last name. But in Nigeria, we use our surname, first name, middle name, or first or surname, other names, right? So we have that. So we have organisms under binomial nomenclature having two names, right? Having two names, the genus and the species. The species is the first name, the genus is the last name. Okay. So we have binomial nomenclature. The scientific name for a plant consists of two words, like we said earlier. The genus or the generic name, e.g. Mangifera, and the specific epithet or the species name, e.g. Indica. So wherever you go and you say Mangifera indica, people know that you are referring to mango. Then we have the genus. So let's talk about the genus now. The genus is usually a noun, capitalized and can serve to describe one of the following. So, like noun is the name of any person, animal, place, or thing, and proper noun is written started with capital letter. So, if you are writing your name with small letter, some of you will write your surname in first letter, write your first name in first letter in capital letter, and write your middle name in a small letter. Somebody sent a name to me this morning to correct a matric number. I said, "What is your name? Don't you have a name?" And sending her name, she wrote her name, surname first, capital letter started, middle first name, capital letter, then the last name starting with small letter. You don't write your name like that, right? You don't write your name starting with small letter because you are binomially named. Okay, so you write your name in capital letter, right? Because your name is a noun, and you don't write proper noun with small letter. Okay, so the genus is a noun. I'm sure you know what noun means now. So the genus is a noun, and the genus name generally serves different purposes. For instance, it could be to describe a plant appearance, right? It could serve to describe a plant appearance. So, for instance, we have here, we have Emerocalis. Emerocalis means day and beauty. That tells you that plants in that genus are usually radiant, right? Then it could be to as a result of their supposed medicinal qualities. For instance, pulmonaria. This plant is used to cure lungwort. Could be a resemblance to a potty part, e.g. hepatica. This plant, the structure looks like a liver. It could be to honor a person by using their name, e.g. Vigna. You have Vigna unguiculata, right? So Vigna is named after Domenico Vigna, an Italian botanist. So these are different ways by which we arrive at a generic name. Don't forget, even if you discover any organism, you can name them after yourself or after a place, as we shall see very soon in the specific name. The specific epithet is the second word in scientific name that describes the species, right? Don't forget that the species is the basis of binomial nomenclature. So it is not capitalized, right? It is actually an adjective. It is not capitalized. It is an adjective used to describe the size, color, leaf, shape, habit, origin of plant, or to commemorate a person. So these are ways by which you can arrive at specific names. It could be to describe a plant, the color, the origin of the plant or organism, as the case may be. So here we have examples of different specific names, right? So here we are focusing on the specific names. So we have a Cotoneaster horizontalis. This means that this plant grows horizontal, right? The branch it has strongly horizontal branching pattern. Don't forget we said that the specific epithet can be used to mean what? To describe the size, the color, the leaf shape, the growth habit, the origin of the organism, or to commemorate a person. So here we are having Cotoneaster horizontalis. This simply means that the branches are horizontal. We also have Coreopsis gigantea, and as the name implies, we can see that this plant has a very large flower, right? Then we can have Erythrina seligalensis. Erythrina seligalensis simply means that that plant is a or that organism is endemic or most common in Senegal, or where it was first described. We have Eugenia uniflora. Eugenia, for instance, is the name of a person, like I said earlier, under generic name or the genus, that the genus could be named after a person. So Eugenia. So if I describe a plant, if I discover a new plant today in a new genus, right, I can name it after any of my children or after myself. I can say Facoride diflora, for instance, right? So Eugenia uniflora simply means that plant. Don't forget we are focusing only on the specific epithet, right? So uniflora means that usually one flower, right? Then we can have Geononanthus virginicus. It could be that that plant is native to Virginia. Virginia is a state, is a place in the United States, right? So this is how we arrive at specific at specific names, at species names. Okay, so how do we write these scientific names known as under the binomial nomenclature? So we said the first letter of the generic name should be in capital letter, and first letter of the specific name should be in small letter. So Mangifera indica, for instance, the first letter of the generic name there is M in capital letter. You can see that all other words are in small letter, except you want to write everything in capital letter, right? The two names are italicized in print or underlined separately, right? So the two names, when you are writing them, right, you can italicize them, like if you want to print, for instance. But if you are writing with your hands, there's no way you can write in italics, right? So you are advised either to underline, and when you are underlining, you don't italicize. When you are italicizing, you don't underline. If you look at the first one that we wrote, Mangifera indica, is italicized, it's not underlined. The second Mangifera indica there is underlined and not italicized, right? And when you are utilizing it, you don't join the two lines, the two words. You don't use one line for the two words, right? So you use separate words, separate. You underline Mangifera separately, you underline indica separately. So the generic name and the species names are underlined separately. That is what means there. The genus may be abbreviated to the first letter if it had been written in full at first. So for instance, if you are writing an article, literature review, so if you have written Homo sapiens before, the next time that you are writing Homo sapiens or other species in that genus, you may begin to abbreviate, because we know that you have defined H to mean Homo. So you don't need to start writing Homo habilis, Homo erectus. So you can just write Homo sapiens. So whenever we see H dot, we know that you are referring to organisms in that same genus, Homo. Okay. Then we have now the name of scientists who first described and named the plant should be written in short after the specific name. Now, systematically, in fact, there is a branch of biology. There is a course we call systematics biology in 400 level in CBG, in the Department of Cell Biology and Genetics. So this field is the naming is a field on its own. Is a field on its own. Sorry, and people become professors in this field of systematics. So it's broad. It's more than this. Now, when you are writing scientific names, right, it is necessary, especially when you are writing for uh, as a professional in that field, or you are writing to earn a degree, right? It is important that you include the name of the person that first described that plant or first named it after what you are called, that named it what you are calling it. For instance, Mangifera indica Lin, it means that that plant was named by Linus. Philanthus amarus, Scume and Thorn. Scume and Thorn is an abbreviation of the two scientists that identified or named Philanthus amarus. So it is very, very important to put the names of the people that what was it called, that first described those plants to them. So so the full name, so you can see that you abbreviate. We don't normally write them in full, so you even put just L for Linus. So this Come and Ton is a Frederick Schumacher and Christian Thunberg. They are two scientists that named that plant Philanthus amarus. So that is how you write scientific name properly. Right now, there's another caveat, second bullet point, that says if any scientist has proposed wrong name in the past, then his name should be written in brackets and the scientist who corrected the name should be written after the bracket. So for instance, Linus called this plant Suga canadensis, right? That is what Linus named this plant. Now, somebody now corrected it. No, sorry, Linus named it Pinus canadensis, right? But Salisbury is saying that no, this plant does not belong to the genus Suga. It's in the genus Pinus, right? So Salisbury names will now be at the back, right? We said Suga canadensis, Linus Salisbury. So it means that Salisbury is the one that gave the correct name, right? Linus called that plant Pinus canadensis, but Salisbury said that no, it is not Pinus. It is in the genus Suga. So it's possible that when you are saying two different names, that is what it means. Suga canadensis, Linus Salisbury, right? So we are saying that we have two names there because somebody erroneously once named that name. So the parent that proposed a new name, their name is now written after that bracket. Then we have in plant nomenclature, tautonyms are not valid. That is, generic and specific name should not be the same. But this is valid in naming animals. So according to codes or standards, right, we have ICBN, which is International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, and the ICZN, International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. So just talking about plants and animals. So in naming plants, we cannot use tautonyms. Tautonyms simply means the same name that are repeated one after the other. So we cannot have mangifera, for instance. It is not allowed, right? But in naming animals, we can have tautonyms. We can have ratus. We can have naja, Indian cobra. We can have ratus as rats, but we cannot have mangifera. So these are what to note when you are writing scientific names, like the codes of conduct. Now we have talked about naming, so let's talk about plants category, right? Don't forget we are talking about naming now, right? So there are different names, there are different categories of plants based on what we call them. So we said plant species can further be divided specifically into different infra-specific categories, that is, classification below the specific level, right? So we can have the cultivar, we can have variety, and we can have a hybrid. So what is a cultivar? Cultivar simply means cultivated variety, a contraction of two words, cultivated and variety, is cultivar, or horticultural variety. This is a plant within a species that have been selected especially for a particular characteristic of traits and are propagated usually asexually to continue these traits. Maybe it could be growth habit, it could be flower, it could be maybe because they are fruitless, right? So cultivars are organisms that have been cultivated over time, right? And they are propagated because of what what of particular characteristics that we like in them, right? So we have here, we have a so this is how you write a cultivar name. In writing a cultivar name, it is written in plain text, right? Capitalized, that is, the first word is capitalized and set off by single quotes. So when you are writing cultivar name, pay attention. You will see that here we have Viburnum opulus roseum. The roseum is not italicized, so that's what we mean by plain text. The cultivar names are not usually italicized. So here we have Viburnum opulus roseum. We have Viburnum opulus cultivar roseum. So you can either put it in single quotes or you write it cultivar, CV, right? Roseum. Then we have variety as another plant category. We can have variety. Variety, this simply means botanical or wide variety. These are a group of plants intermediates between species and form, are usually associated with inheritable differences. They are recognized as density populations or breeding through to what's it called? Breeding through to type. Yeah. So we have this particular group of variety they have distinct population, right? And the example includes Pinus contorta variety contorta. We have Pinus contorta variety latifolia, right? So these are different varieties under what's it called? Under a particular species. So in writing them, they write in lower sentence and they are italicized or underlined. Unlike a cultivar that will write their first letter in a capital letter. When you are writing a variety, you don't write it in capital letter. You write the variety name in small letter and you italicize. In cultivar, we don't italicize. And here we have Pinus contorta variety contorta. Pinus contorta variety latifolia. The contorta is short pine. Latifolia is a lodge pole pine, right? They are variety from the same species, Pinus, or from the same genus, Pinus. So they are pine. So they only have one or two differences that make us to put them under different variety names. Then we have hybrid. Hybrid simply means two close related but distinct species will be interbreed to form a hybrid. So a hybrid is when we have two closely related plants, right, that are crossed to produce a hybrid that is usually not sterile. They are often sterile and produce no seeds or fruit. That is, they are usually sterile. They don't produce fruit and they don't produce a seed. So they are written in lowercase and italicized or underlined. An X is placed between the genus and hybrid epithet. So we have here, this is a Plantainus acerifolia and is obtained by crossing Plantainus occidentalis and Plantainus orientalis. So the plants we are seeing there is a hybrid of two plants, Plantainus occidentalis and Plantainus orientalis. So the new plant that we have, the hybrids are usually not fertile, that is sterile, is a Plantainus acerifolia. So that is a hybrid. Then we have ended that part of the lecture. So before we go to how you guys evolve from ape, do we have any question? Sure, sorry. Okay, sorry, I was muted. So I said I have some questions here. Somebody said I should explain what's it called. I will take it, explain variety. So somebody said I should explain naming of plants. I said I will not take that part because that is what you have been doing. So naming of plants simply means giving names to organisms, plants and animals, actually, not only plants. So we now say what we normally have now. In the past, we normally use vernacular like local names, and this is not conventional, right? For instance, if I go to a conference and I say Ibepe, for instance, it's not everybody that understands Ibepe. Even some Nigerians don't even understand. I don't even believe Igbos or Hausas know what we call Ibepe in Yoruba, right? But Ibepe is Carica papaya, purple. So if I say Carica papaya, everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? So that is the essence of naming nomenclature, binomial nomenclature, giving two names to organisms, right? The person asking this question, sir, the names shown in italics, how do we write them down? It seems you are just joining, and I will let that question slide. Okay, so let's look at the different plant categories now briefly. Okay, so we said cultivar. We said there are different plant categories: cultivar, variety, and hybrid, right? So cultivar simply means cultivated variety, right? So cultivated variety are plants within a species that have been selected especially for a particular characteristic. So you identify a plant within a variety, for instance, a variety of rice, Oryza sativa, right? That for a particular purpose or for particular purposes, you propagate that plant, you multiply it, right? And we said that it could be because of their growth habits, it could be because of their flower, or maybe because they are fruitless, right? So we can now say that in writing these variety names, these cultivar names rather, you write it in italics and you write the specific name in italics. Then when you are writing the cultivar names, you don't italicize them. You write them in plain text. You write them in plain text. That is, you don't italicize, and you capitalize the first word. The first word is capitalized and is written in plain text. You don't italicize, and you put them in single brackets, or you put cultivar CV. Then variety simply means a group of plants intermediate species between species and form, and usually associated with inheritable differences. So variety are, like we say, when we say we have different variety of something. So in a species, for instance, among species, there are different varieties in a species. So there is this particular in a species of contorta, right? Contorta, for instance, this pine. So we have different types of this Pinus contorta or variety. So they are like subspecies, if you can use that word, right? So they are like variety that we see. Variety means differences, right? You say a variety of variety of shoes, variety of food. So yeah, now we are looking at variety of species, right? And when we are writing this variety name, we write them in italics, write them in small letter, unlike cultivar names that are in, you write the first letter in capital letter and you don't italicize. When you are writing cultivar name, you write them in capital in small letter and you italicize them. And somebody was asking me, how do they write italics down? I told you you cannot write it in italics, so you are advised to underline the genus and the specific names separately. You cannot write italics together. Okay. Then we have hybrid. Hybrid simply means you are crossing two distinct species. For instance, you are crossing a tiger and a lion. They are different species to form a tiger, lion, tigon, lion, tiger, lion, depending on which one is male, which one is female. So a hybrid is because they are neither goat or sheep. When you cross a goat and a sheep, for instance, so they are neither goat or sheep, so they cannot reproduce. They are sterile in most cases, because if you cross them with a sheep, they are different from a sheep. If you cross them with a goat, they are different from goats. So that is why hybrid are often sterile. You cross two distinct species. For instance, like I said earlier, you are crossing a tiger and a lion because they belong to the same genus. Or you are crossing a lion, a goat and sheep because you think they look alike, right? So what you have from there is what we call hybrid, and they are distinct organisms. Just like you are crossing homozygous and an homozygous dominant and homozygous recessive, what you get is a hybrid, like heterozygous, mixture of two, of homozygous and heterozygous, of a dominant and recessive. Like when you are crossing homozygous dominant and homozygous recessive, you have heterozygous. So that heterozygous is, if we also call it hybrid in genetics. Okay, so that is hybrid for us. And here, this hybrid, when you are writing hybrid, you write it in lowercase. You can either italicize or underline them, right? And you put an X between the hybrid name and the genus name. Now, this flower here that we cross, that we are shown here, is a hybrid of two different plants from the same genus, right? We have genus Plantanus. The first species is Plantanus occidentalis. When you cross it with Plantanus orientalis, you have Plantanus acerifolia. So Plantanus acerifolia there is a hybrid. That is why we are putting an X, right? That is a hybrid. So these different categories of plants have how we write them to identify them. For cultivar, we write CV, then we write that name in plain text with starting with capital letter. Or if you don't want to write CV, you put it in single quotes. For for variety, you put variety and you write in italics lowercase. For hybrid, you put X between the hybrid name. Acerifolia there is not a species name. Please get it right. Acerifolia there is not a species name. Occidentalis is species name in the genus Plantanus. Orientalis is also a species name in that same genus. But Acerifolia is a hybrid. That is why we put X between the genus Plantanus and this hybrid name Acerifolia. Okay, I think we have done justice to that. 7:53. So let's quickly let's cover some slides in this topic before in the new topic, evolution. So what is evolution? That some of you might have been hearing evolution. Did we evolve from ape? Some of you believe we are beautifully and wonderfully made in the image of God. Scientists said that we evolved from ape, we evolved from water, and all of that. No. Yes, you are beautifully made. Somebody is responsible for your creation. Right? So evolution is not that we evolve from ape or we come from water. Right? Evolution simply means change over time. Change, not the APC kind of change, right? That is evolution. Evolution is change over time, that is process by which modern organisms have descended from ancient ancestors, right? It's not that we evolve from ape, that is why we look alike. It's because we share a common ancestor at some point. Don't ask me, but you said that we are wonderfully and beautifully made. Biologically, you and ape share common ancestor. Take it or leave it. Okay, so that is basically what evolution means, right? Just like in a lineage, people are likely to look alike. There are some people that if you may not look like your siblings, any of your siblings, you can go and resemble your cousin. It's because you are in a lineage, you share a common ancestor. So that is basically what evolution is all about. Ancient ones, what do we have in common? What have changed between ancient organisms and modern organisms? And biology scientists have evidence to whatever they are saying. So if we say that we have common ancestor with apes, it's based on research, right? And don't say it is not in the Bible or it's not in the Holy Book of Quran. I know, but biologically, it can be proven that we share common ancestor. We share some similarities with ancient organisms, and that chimpanzee is our closest relative. Okay, so what is the time? I don't want you to miss out on your next class. Okay, we have, this is 7:56. We have 4 minutes more. We shall use our time up to the last seconds today. Okay, or maybe we should just stop here for today, because let's take few questions and then call it a success. There's no point rushing. We should, if we are unable to finish on Monday, we'll complete this class on Wednesday. So let's not rush. Let's not rush today. Okay. Any question? Or can we continue? If we don't have any, if you have a class, just say no. And if you say no, you don't have a class, you are in soup, I will catch you. I don't believe in evolution, but biology made me do. Thank you, Samuel Adetola. And you can even write that in exam. That's sadly you are writing MCQ. You just have to choose an answer. I don't think you need to believe in it. You just make you get distinction. Make una carry una gist come off for my chat, Jare. Make una go gist for that platform. So can we continue class? Let's continue. Let's continue. Can scientific name be written both Greek and Latin together? Which one is Greek and Latin? If you're naming in Greek, you name it. If you name it in Latin, you name it in Latin. But mostly we use is Latin that is generally used, but we can use, it's just like you are asking, can we give a scientific name in both Igbo and Yoruba? So if you are writing, if you are giving the name in Igbo, it should be Igbo. If you are naming it in Yoruba, it should be Yoruba. So I think so. Oh, Mother the faculty is nice online. I've catch you, Emmanuel Olani de Glory. So me, I'm not nice. I'm not nice in the lab, baby. If I catch you, okay. Somebody said they have CHM 101 class. Okay, you can go for your class. Do have a wonderful day and stay out of trouble. We meet on Monday by God's grace. We have CHM by 10. Somebody said now. Somebody said 10. I don't understand. Please don't go yet, you. Is your class? Is your lab? Okay, I have the timetable. Don't worry. Let me check the faculty timetable. Lecture timetable. If you don't have any class now, if it is CHM that you have, so we can continue this class. First semester 2025-2026 timetable is 9 to 10. 9 to 10, 9 to 10. Okay, I'm coming. Oh, it's 9 to 10. Please go for your class. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye. We meet on Monday in the lab and online first for our